Hunter Watkins out to the mound for his third inning of work. He had a tough first inning as UT Arlington scored 3 times, and that's where we stand now. UT Arlington up 3-1 actually over Oklahoma State. So far, Watkins 2 innings, 5 hits, gave up those 3 runs, 4 strikeouts, no walks.
Now, you've been around this game for a long time. What they say about big guys, if you're going to get them early, because they're going to get better. Well, last inning was better than the first inning. So let's see if he's that kind of guy. Maybe this inning will seem even better than last.
First pitch in there to Xavier Melendez.
And if that's the case, then maybe you warm him up a little bit more in the bullpen before he starts, because you really don't want to come out and start down 3.
It's 0-2.
It's a good curveball. See, that's the walk away that I'm talking about, Dave, which you almost see their body walking towards the on-deck circle.
Two balls and 2 strikes.
And then there's the coaching that's in his mind about how to correct it, which is get it down and go forward. So then he bent over, almost an exaggerated bend over. This is part of the learning process on how to pitch.
Now the count is full to Melendez, leading off here in the 3rd.
There's your fastball, max effort, out of the zone by 2 feet. Now you got to come back to the strike zone. Right here, I'd say here, man, you got to throw it you feel comfortable with.
Four consecutive balls, and Melendez draws a walk to begin the 3rd.
Well, nobody in the baseball world will buy a leadoff walk. I mean, offensive-minded coaches, they love it. They love it. But it does a lot of mental harm to a starting pitcher to walk the leadoff guy.
Want to know to Xander McAfee. So now you have players in the portal that are, coming and going, and in this case, Watkins has come here from Grand Canyon. You're early in the season, you give up the leadoff walk. That's lifted out deep to center. Back in front of the wall, Smith makes a play, and there's 1 out. So if you were in a program for a 2nd consecutive year or a 3rd year, to what extent are you more comfortable in terms of, hey, I'm struggling, but I'm okay, I've been here, they know me, versus when you come in as a transfer and they really don't know you, and suddenly things start popping in your head perhaps about, oh boy, I'm struggling, can I establish my footing here, where am I going to land on the pitching staff, versus, again, when you've been someplace for a while and you struggle, you're a known entity. Am I making sense? I mean, does that get into the head of the guys that transfer where they maybe press a little bit? Because,
you kind of got like 2 heads working here. Like my mind as that player you're describing, would be if I'm not getting it figured out here, I'm still confused, I'm still struggling. People say I have good stuff. I could see a change of scenery being good.
Right.
On the other hand, if I trust the guy that's working with me every day, and my success is important to him, I don't run away from him. I stay with him. He knows what I don't do well, and he's going to work with me to get through it. So in conclusion to that, it'd be like it's a trust. They both have to be established. That and only for that reason would I swallow the portal. When you get challenged in sports, the guys that get over the hump in the challenge are the ones that become special. That makes sense?
Sure it does.
I mean, it's like failure, it just explodes in the sports world. It's all over the place. The guys that turn around and be special are the guys that see it, it hits them, and it strikes a nerve, and they get over it. Hey, when it hits you and it strikes you and it kills you, They don't get over the hump. They're nothing.
Melendez at first after a leadoff walk, and now it's 3-0 to Tice Armstrong.
But it's a feel out situation right now. They feel each other out, and you know the guy on the mound right now is like, just leave me alone. I'll figure this out. I'll figure this out. And you're standing over there going, okay, I want him to figure it out. I don't know this guy that well.
Right.
And we're at home. You know, we got to have this game. We got to get to 500. You know, this is a top 20 team at Oklahoma State, and we're not going to 2-4. We got to go to 3-3 today. Hey, those are pressure statements. But you know what? That goes along with playing at Oklahoma State. This isn't a program that lives on 25 and 25. You know, it doesn't happen. So this is a chance for Rob to see this guy under a little pressure. And, hey, it's the 5th game of the year, and you got pressure. That's a good thing, I think. 6th game.
We'll see if they start Melendez at first on the full count pitch. They don't. That's lifted into shallow right.
No tag.
Schubert records a second out.
Dave, there's when you crawl into the mind of players, there's books that are written about it that are interesting. But you know what? When you get done, it's like, I'm still confused. It's like there's just so many different people. How many guys are playing this game? You like to think that you're sniffer in recruiting. You're always bringing in the right kind of guy.
Tate Bethel looks at strike one. He had a 2-run single and the 3-run UT Arlington first.
So the next question would be, what's the right kind of guy? It just never stops. I wonder how many people thought Brock Purdy was going to be the quarterback that he is for the 49ers.
Obviously not many in the NFL because he was the last guy picked. Although we saw him, we knew how good he could be.
See? You saw him, you knew it could happen, right?
Sure.
So what happened for 6 rounds of the NFL draft? You know, this guy, was he a 7th round pick?
He was the last pick of the draft. The last guy.
And he ends up being like a guy that takes a team to a Super Bowl. I mean, because the makeup is so darn hard to see, it's so hard to drag it out.
Well, let's go to an example that Oklahoma State fans are familiar with. Let's talk Jalen Warren with the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's the throw to first, and Melendez just back in time. Jalen Warren was a free agent pickup. And let's look at this play again. Just how close was it?
And again, for a big guy, this guy's got a great move. His feet, wow, that's almost worth the challenge.
But no one saw what we saw in Jalen Warren, his toughness, his resilience. I mean, you can say it, but the pros are like, I don't know. You know, and holy cow. A tremendous free agent pickup for the team you followed, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy that got fined for pass protection because he hit the linebacker so hard. That's lifted into right towards Schubert. And UT Arlington is retired. We'll head to the bottom of the 3rd. 3-1 Mavericks over the Cowboys at O'Brate. 3-1 UT Arlington leads Oklahoma State as we head to the bottom of the 3rd. Oklahoma State has won a Big 12 title, regular season and tournament each of the last 2 seasons. Cowboys picked to win the Big 12.
Well, I got to see Arizona 3 times last week. I'm not sure about their starting pitching to be the 2nd best team in the league. TCU, I think, is a really good ball club this year, but the rest of them, you know, they're 4 or 5 games in, and right now you're rooting for everybody in the league to win.
Absolutely. Top of the order, Braden Smith. And he's behind in the count 0-2.
I think where we were at with the comparisons about makeup and stuff, you know, you get to batting practice today. There's 8 or 9 scouts in here. There's only like 10 people in the ballpark. And they're everywhere in funny places looking at funny things. And you're thinking, what's a funny thing? Well, they want to know the intangibles. They want to know what kind of guy. Because that's how you miss. That's how Jalen Warren, people missed on him. I mean, that guy is better than the Steelers' first-round pick in that same draft. It's better than he is. Well, it's because of his makeup. Makeup's a tough thing, Dave. If anybody has a system, he's a great scout. When you find one, you better keep him.
First pitch misses to Garrett Scholl. That makes me think of another Oklahoma State running back. Same deal. Chris Carson picked, I believe it was in the 7th round of the NFL draft by the Seahawks. Pete Carroll called Mike Gundy. They're getting ready to make that pick and asked him, hey, what do you think? And Coach Gundy said, boy, he's really matured. You look at his last 4 or 5 games, he was a different guy, ran physically, did all the right things. He told Pete Carroll, I think you'll like what you're going to get if you choose to take him. And Pete Carroll said, you know what, we're taking him. Well, his career was ended by a neck injury, but for 2 or 3 seasons, I mean, gosh, I think he had a couple thousand-yard seasons. He was a really good back.
Yes.
Played here at Oklahoma State, for those of you who are not Oklahoma State fans, and he was terrific. It was really unfortunate that he had his career shortened, but the Seahawks liked him so much they gave him a bigger than normal financial reward in terms of his first and third with nobody out here in the 3rd.
That's what speed is supposed to do right there. There was no doubt he's going first to 3rd. Now some guys can't because the ball's hit pretty hard. But what a nice piece of hitting. And again, it's that freshman right there that's, just watch, 30 days from now how much better he is. Isn't it funny how Schubert looks like he's on deck to leave and here comes Scholl. You know, you always got that guy coming.
It's 0-1 to Schubert.
That's only a strike on a guy that's 6'5". And the guy behind the plate's a really good umpire.
Mark Wager's in charge today behind the plate.
Hit about 390 this year with 20 dingers. He doesn't have to hit 40 home runs because he's not going to get that many opportunities to hit home runs. Unless this guy right now, whoever this guy ends up being, whoever hits behind Schubert is going to determine how many pitches Schubert gets to hit. You drifting with me there?
Oh, absolutely. No,
we're in Game 5 and we're talking. But that's how you build your lineup. And I think Josh has to pay close attention. People have to. They got to respect the guy behind him. And those 2 puppies that Josh puts up in a 1 and 2 hole, shoot, they set the table for Schubert. Base hits a run. RBIs are important to me. Anybody that thinks an RBI is not important, you're going to have to change the game and convince me I'm wrong.
So a visit to the mound by Mike Trapasso, and it's a run home in the inning, and 1st and 2nd, still nobody out for Jason Jones.
I think Trapp just kind of went out and reminded him, man, keep throwing strikes. They're going to hit something at somebody. That guy that just ripped it into center field, pretty good hitter. Man, you don't want your number 2 guy leaving early today. You want to try to get him 5 innings. I think they're going to compete in that league.
That's softly hit to the 3rd base side, out at 2nd. No throw to 1st. Schubert's retired at 2nd. It's 1st and 3rd, 1 out.
Well, he puts the breaking ball in play right here and actually served a purpose, move the runner up. And this is where your structure to your batting order is so good. Now he's got another left-hand hitter that can burn you. Runner in scoring position.
Brigham grounded out. To end the Cowboy first. First and third, one out and a run home. It's 0-2. You're talking about UT Arlington and their potential in the WAC. They're picked 7th in the 9-team WAC this year. Grand Canyon the favorite. We'll see Abilene Christian Wednesday. They're picked 2nd in the WAC. And that's popped straight up in the infield.
Yeah, he pulled that one off the ground, didn't he?
Yeah, Medellin records a second out.
That's going to bug. Brugge will not like that at bat.
But you feel like UT Arlington could be considerably better than that 7th place projection.
I do, and again, I look at the league, and you got some warm weather teams there. I mean, that's kind of an odd league, but you got good weather in Grand Canyon, Abilene, good weather, Cal Baptist, good weather, Tarleton, good weather, Sac State, good weather, Utah, nah, Seattle, nah, Utah Tech, no. Poor machine.
So Jones and Scholl score on the 2-run double by Miola. It's 4-3. Oklahoma State takes its first lead.
And a 2-out base hit, which kind of tells you why Aiden is so important to this ball club.
Right back to the mound. Good play by Rob, and that ends the Cowboy third. But Oklahoma State scores 3. Aiden Miola with a 2-run double. It's 4-3 Cowboys after the WAC preseason predictions. Here they are. Grand Canyon picked to win the league. We'll see Abilene Christian Wednesday, and UT Arlington, as we mentioned, down in 7th place. Tarleton State actually won the WAC tournament a year ago.
That's a league full of tough Tuesday baseball. Grand Canyon's an incredible story. Abilene Christian, again, you're sitting in Texas, you're getting all the guys on the rebound that you want because of all the really good D1 schools down there. And you look at it, I mean, it's a winnable league. It's a 9-man league. What do they average, about 2 teams a year?
Yeah.
Getting in the NCAA tournament? I know they're not afraid to play anybody. Those teams show up on everybody's schedule.
Oh, and 2 to Austin Phillips. You saw Cal Baptist pick 3rd. They're a part of Oklahoma State history. It's 2 years ago, right around this time of year. They were the first victim in Oklahoma State's back-to-back combined no-hitters.
Yep.
Cowboys no-hit Cal Baptist, turn around first game of a Saturday doubleheader. A few days later, and no-hit Loyola Marymount.
See, this is a bigger curveball than he started the game out with. If you watch, that ball started on top of his hat, his helmet, and finished in the dirt. That makes it a tough pitch to put in play. Good question right now. I'd like to ask him if he's made that adjustment himself, because the first inning, his curveball looked like maybe a real big slider. They hit it like they knew it was coming. Sometimes you hit sliders when you're looking fastball.
2-0 to Jeff Marlowe.
But he's got a lot of 12-6 in that curveball right now, and it's become way more effective.
That's ripped it short. 2 away.
I want to say that's a changeup right there at 81. Hit the ball pretty good.
So 2 away, base is empty. Jackson Hill sack bunt his first plate appearance, making his first start of the year today.
I don't really think you have to worry much about pitch count when it's 75 degrees.
Yeah, it's like April.
I mean, he's at 63 pitches in the 4th. If he gets through this thing at 70, temptation, let him go to 80. Probably makes him next Sunday starter in the next tournament. Unless you build another starter into your rotation, which, again, I'm just thinking out loud, but it's a perfect day to take your pitch count up.
3-1 to Hill, who's only one of only 3 left-hand bats on the UT Arlington roster. Counts full. One thing though, Mike Trapasso, we're seeing that today with some of the lineup changes. He feels like he has a very deep team. A chance to be a pretty good defensive team, and that's a 2-out walk for Hill here in the 4th.
Well, when you bring in portal help, you really don't know the difference between one shortstop or the other until they get on the field and play. So to take games like this and second day of a series, be able to put 5 or 6 new guys in there, hey, they're getting their chance to play. That way, when you get to conference, you know who your lineup is, and you don't have unhappy long faces in your dugout. They're no fun. Those long faces, they ruin coaching.
0-1 to Jordan Medellin. So here's a question for you.
Okay.
If players are transferring around, and of course they are, now I'm speaking of infielders probably more than anyone. There goes the runner at first, swing and a miss, and there's no throw as Hill steals second. He's there with 2 out. 0-2 now, the count on Medellin. How much, if at all, could that impact your team defensively? Guys are used to working together. Second baseman and shortstop, turning double plays. There's kind of feel for guys about kind of how they play their position. Can it negatively impact your defense when guys don't play together at all, or not that big of a deal?
I think that's what fall baseball does.
So fall baseball should resolve that.
Yeah, and normally you have 4 middle infielders, 4 guys that can play the middle part of the infield. You really can't afford to carry 5. 4's enough, and
Okay.
really the 4th guy should be able to play third base too. I think fall baseball, Dave, is there's plenty of time to close that gap. Like we had Riggio and Rock had to play with 2 different shortstops.
Yeah.
Well, they're together and they do know each other. That does help. But by the time the fall's over, it's just like, I got to play my position. That guy's going to play his. I think that works out pretty good.
4-3 Oklahoma State to the bottom of the 4th. True freshman delivered the Cowboys' first run, and he'll start things here in the 4th, and he'll face a new pitcher. Left-hander Caden Noah enters for UT Arlington.
This will be an interesting thing because you got a freshman left-hand hitter, and this is going to happen in the conference. People are going to find their left-handers when they play Oklahoma State. So if Thompson proves he can handle left-hand pitching, whether becomes a good bunter or a good line drive opposite field guy, it keeps you in the lineup. It'll keep you in there for the latter part of the game, because you can bet that Josh will have a right-handed bat on the bench to fit this situation if it's against the lefty that's got nasty stuff. And right now, I don't think there's much of a book on this guy. And like I said, we're in game 5 of game 6 of a season.
Two 2-0 to Thompson. Noah started his career at the University of Texas, 2 years there. Picked up a save in his only appearance of the year, worked an inning in 2/3. Valentine's Day save against UTSA. 2-2 to Thompson.
And the fact he pitched a couple years at the University of Texas, which gives you immediate credibility. And you get him, and
it's chopped to second. 1 out.
One thing you can be assured of, he's not going to be afraid to pitch in this environment. And one thing it does, when you get into a Power 5 and you play in it, and if you do transfer out so you get more playing time, you shouldn't fear any of the things that go along with it. I think it's the dangerous thing is the flip-flop that take guys out of small D1s or D2s and bring them up to D1, and you better watch the reaction.
Drew Culbertson struck out his first trip, and he fouls the first pitch away.
And you know, guys can develop in Division II, III, and NAIA, and to the point where by the time they're a junior, they can play in Division I powerhouses.
That's to third. Phillips over to first, 2 out. I would guess that if you're going to bring guys up from a lower level, I know this is true, my experience with football, and you know, we had a receiver here, Austin. We had a receiver here 2 years ago, rather, that, you know, was a Division III transfer. You know, but his body, you could tell his body had not been developed. So you saw what he could be physically, and he ended up being a really good receiver at Oklahoma State. So is that what you're probably looking for, is maybe a body that's not developed? And say, okay, this guy physically could be something that he's not now. Or is it more about skills? That's grounded by Smith to short. Over to first, it's 3 up, 3 down. A good solid inning for the UT Arlington reliever out of the bullpen, Caden Noah. 2-4, it's 4-3 Oklahoma State. Sounds good. For the fifth, 4-3 Oklahoma State. Hunter Watkins gave up 3 runs in the first, but he has not given up a run since. Carries a 4-3 lead into the top of the fifth. He'll face the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for UT Arlington. It will start with Jake Martinez. First pitch to second. 1 away.
That's why you throw the first pitch for a strike. Now you got a 1 pitch out. Boy, it makes pitching a lot easier.
So we were talking about, okay, what are you looking for? And Leon Johnson was a receiver here at Oklahoma State I was speaking of. Division III, I met him on his visit. You could see physically he could add 25 pounds. Turned out he was a pretty darn good receiver. So are you looking more for the skills? Are you looking for a body that maybe isn't developed? I mean, what are you looking for if you try to drop down and take somebody?
And again, I'll stay with the football thing first. All right?
Okay.
I would say the skills. I'll bet you that kid had great hands. I don't know him.
He did.
I bet he had great hands. I bet he could really run.
For a guy that was as big as he could, yes.
So
as he is. Big as he was.
It's skill. You know, this is a skill guy. That's the eye of the scout. Like, who found him and how did he find him? That would be my question. Because you've got to be afraid to go down under Division I and bring players in. And so when you go to baseball, you know what? If you're throwing 95 and you got a good slider, I don't care where you've been playing. Junior college, NAI, it doesn't matter. If you're not afraid to go out and compete, the skill of throwing hard and throwing a breaking ball, that'll get you an opportunity in Division I. But recruiting is
that strikes out 2 away.
Never before. It really is. It's a as he lost his curveball. So you know this guy's got an established curveball. But getting back to the point, if skills are really high and they've been developed because you got overlooked, you hear that, I think you better have a recruiter that can watch film, that can see those skills that you described. You know, I'd like to talk to the guy that found that wide receiver. How did he find him? And it's no different than watching a guy on film in baseball. Hey, when you see a guy square the ball up 4 or 5 times in a row and you watch another film, he does the same thing. Maybe that kid can really hit.
1-2 to McAfee. Is it less likely, though, for a player to slip through the cracks in baseball because you have professional scouting? Players could be drafted out of high school. You also have the junior college ranks where a player could go for a year and then go professional. Is it less likely to have that guy drop down to Division II? And by the way, that's grounded to third. Nice play and over to first. Nicely done by Jones.
You know, early in the fall, Dave, he couldn't have made that play. Because I watched him playing third. He had to get reacclimated.
Halfway home at Stillwater. It's a 4-3 Oklahoma State lead over UT Arlington. Garrett Scholl will start things as the Cowboys will send the 2, 3, and 4 hitters to the mound against Caden Noah in his second inning of work. He had a 1-2-3 bottom of the fourth. So let's go back to what we were talking about before the break. I was asking you, is it less likely that a player can fall through the cracks in baseball because of all the eyes on him versus football, for example?
I would say no. I don't think it's less likely. I think it's more likely.
Oh, really?
Because honestly, think about a freshman going to school right now, okay? You look at him and you think, if I take this guy, if we take Scholl, and we bring him in, and he tells the pro people, don't draft me, I'm going to college. If this kid doesn't play, or he's not ready, just not quite ready, he's not going to stick around. He's going to leave.
It's true.
And he's going to go down. He's going to go where he can go play. And some coach is going to say, come to my place. I'll play you every day. And that's what a kid wants to hear. So it's the kid that gets hurt. It's the kid that's playing out of position. Maybe some kid playing shortstop that can really throw the ball, can't hit his weight, but he can really play short and throw. Well, you know what? That might be a catcher.
Yeah.
You know, so he slips
like Mickey Pendleton.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Wow. I mean, pulled one out. And he wasn't hitting real well, but guess what? That guy was made out of the right stuff, which was the reason we stayed on that. And of course, he went on and got better each year and ended up being a catcher in the big leagues. Wasn't real fond of the transition from being a shortstop to a right fielder to a catcher. In fact, he still chews me out about it as he limps around the golf course with that $50 million home he lives in.
Schubert fouls it away. Scholl struck out to begin this fifth.
But I think, Dave, that baseball is a sport where what did Yogi say about it being 50% physical and 100% mental, or some ridiculous thing? But there's so many things in baseball that can go wrong. Hey, how about the football player that finds out he's not very good, but I'm pretty good in baseball? Then he goes back to play baseball and he ends up playing in the big leagues. There's a guy right now for, is it Oregon or Oregon State? It's going to be a first-round NFL. And he's going to be a first-round Major League Baseball draft, potentially. And I can't remember the last time.
You see some funky things like that from time to time.
The Michigan State guy played with Mike Henneman with the Tigers. Come on.
Okay, names escaping.
Left-hand hitter, big-time hitter. Hit the home run and limped around the bases with Vin Scully.
Kirk Gibson.
Kirk Gibson, okay? They're out there. There's guys out there. And
well, you see it happen in other sports, too. I mean, you go way back. Chargers tight end named Antonio Gates played a big role in beating Oklahoma State in the NCAA tournament in 2002 as a basketball player. And he ends up being a multiple-year starter and a really good tight end for what was then San Diego Chargers. So you see it in a lot of sports where guys will jump over to another one, turns out to be really, really good.
I mean, I think more kids want to play baseball now than it used to be. Basketball's fun. Everybody wants to play, but then they see the gazelles that are playing basketball now, and they go, nah, I'm only going to be 5'10". I got no shot. So they give up. You play this sport, baseball, at 5'10". There's a lot of 5'10" major leaguers.
Schubert draws a one-out walk. 4-3 Oklahoma State here in the bottom of the fifth.
I'll give you one. I had a guy at NC State my first year I go there, and I'd watched him that summer and I liked him. I had no idea I was going to NC State for sure. And I get there and my friend tells me, hey, we're on this guy. What do you think? And I said, what are you talking about? Russell Wilson? He says, yeah. And I said, take him. Because I had seen him. I had seen him play baseball. And, well, he comes in and he ends up starting for 3 years at quarterback. We had him on the baseball team. He could really play baseball, but he was so devoted to football. He got a little bit bigger and stronger to play football, which took away a little bit of that skill in baseball. Still went in the, I don't know, 4th round of the draft to the Rockies. He goes out and plays. To this day, I think he could have played in the big leagues.
Really?
Yes, I do. Because I know the kid. I know the makeup. When he chose a sport, whatever it was, he was going to go. And I told him to stay with baseball because he was too small to play football. And he just kept looking at me saying, Coach, I'm going to play in the NFL. I kept thinking, Russell, take the money, go play. And he kept saying, we'll play in the NFL. Well, guess what? He's played in the NFL for 14 years. And he's won a Super Bowl. I mean, he's been there and done that. But, again, those athletes are out there. And rare do you get a chance to take a shot at both of them. Pretty rare.
Oh, yeah. 2-0 to Jason Jones. Schubert at first after a 1-out walk. It's 2-1. You had a chance to see Russell play this year up in Pittsburgh, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, 10 years late. Being invited every weekend, and it took me that long. But I got to watch him every Sunday. I mean,
of course.
It's like, yeah, it was fun.
That's popped up in the infield. And there's 2 away.
And he was having fun. It's amazing. Even guys that you put way up on a pedestal, they have a rocky road. They get their confidence knocked down, and they get a new uniform. Sometimes it is really good. I don't know that a college guy can use that. I don't think you're in school long enough to say I need a change of scenery.
Well, are you even mature enough as a person and as a player to really understand that? I mean, professional athlete's been at it for a while. He's older. I mean, he sort of can maybe sort out, right, the difference between what is some adversity versus, okay, I need a change.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. And coaches change. That sometimes that takes the heart out of a kid. He does want to change schools if he loses the guy that brought him in. I get that. The kid that goes away from home, so the kid that gets a chance to go home and play his last year, I get that. Those are exceptions to the rule. I just don't like guys that run away from a challenge. Shuby made that look easy, didn't he, against the lefty? Brookerman comes through, 2 out base hits. That's how you lock into a lineup. You want to play every day, do that.
Good to see for Briggerman because last year he had some struggles against left-hand pitching.
And you get older, you get better. And sometimes when somebody exposes a weakness, you work at it. As I was told by my old boss, you hold on to your strength and work on your weakness.
5-3 Oklahoma State. Aiden Miola, 2-run double in the 3rd. Coach Ward tell you that?
Oh, yeah, a long time ago. Because, you do it sometimes start to think you're pretty good. And you don't need any more coaching. And you know what? This game will humbles everybody.
Two and 1 to Miola.
That's a pretty good pitch. I mean, you can tell this guy's been around the baseball world a little bit. Those 2 years at Texas. What you're doing right now with Coach Trapasso is taking a look and see who am I going to win my conference games with. Let me move him over on this side of my lineup card. And I got to believe this guy pitching right here is going to be a part of his success story for this year. There were some good arms that went to the mound yesterday, Dave, but once that thing caved in, I mean, everybody in Oklahoma State's lineup just felt good about hitting, but a couple of those kids that were 92, 93, they'll get better.
And Miola draws a 2-out walk.
And they go right down and play another Big 12 team in the University of Houston. Pretty good out-of-conference schedule.
Right-hander Aaron Calhoun is the pitcher on your screen, warming up for UT Arlington. And we will have a pitching change. A run home here in the 5th. Runners at first and second, 2 out. And we'll tell you about the new UT Arlington pitcher when we return, with Oklahoma State up 5-3 in the bottom of the 5th. 3 Oklahoma State, 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th, and the new pitcher is right-hander Aaron Calhoun, who pitched 2 seasons at Oklahoma and last year made 12 starts at UT Arlington.
Well, let's see what all the process has done for him. I mean, it's pretty good. You know, get a couple years at OU, get a couple years at Arlington. Nice to have some senior arms, I can tell you that. But most of the time when you're a senior arm, it's because you lack a pro tool. Now, in a 20-round draft, Dave, there's a lot of guys not getting drafted that used to be drafted.
Calhoun had a rough year last year at UT Arlington, went 0-6, made 12 starts, 8.33 ERA. In 40 innings, he gave up 64 hits, walked 20, struck out 20, gave up 7 home runs.
Yeah, I would like to take an eraser and erase those numbers.
Yeah.
They're not very good.
Well, new, fresh start here in
and that's what it is. It's a new
2025.
season. Yeah, it's like, tell you what, you come out here and pitch good against Oklahoma State today, it's going to buy you some more innings. I mean, you're only down by 2. So Trapp has to like what he's seen so far, because this game is not like yesterday. This one's not out of hand.
Calhoun worked on February 15th, 2 1/3 scoreless innings against UTSA, struck out 1, gave up 1 hit, and earned a save. So 2025 off to a better start. He'll face Ian Doherty with 2 out, runners at first and second.
89, 91, somewhere in there. I think our scoreboard's in a really good mood, don't you? I think our radar gun's like...
Ooh, and Doherty's hit by pitch. So the bases will be loaded for Brock Thompson, who has already homered today. His first career home run as a freshman. Hit an opposite field homer to get the Cowboys on the board in the second, a solo shot.
Come on, the first in baseball. If you're going to be a good reliever, you got to get the first guy out. And you got to throw the first pitch for a strike, which hasn't conquered that part of the game yet.
Two 2-0 to Thompson.
Even to take that pitch right there so comfortably kind of shows signs of this guy growing up fast for a freshman.
It's 3-0. Calhoun in danger of walking a player in.
That's a good umpire. Now that's a borderline. I'm sure the kid would like to have had it, but if you're going to stay away like that.
And it's a 4-pitch walk and an RBI for Brock Thompson as Brigham trots home. It's a 6-3 Oklahoma State lead. The bases remain loaded with 2 out.
Well, that'll make that phone ring in that bullpen again, because that's not the way you want to come out of there. With 2 outs, you just got to trust your stuff.
So Drew Culbertson looking for his first hit of the day and his first of the season. Bases loaded, 2 out. And it's another ball inside.
And he's taken all the way right there. That show of bunt is just to continue to be a distraction for the guy on the mound. I don't think anybody's ready, so this might be a little wake-up call from the head coach.
So 6 straight balls thrown by Calhoun. The first is when he hit Doherty by pitch. And then a 4-pitch walk to Thompson, and now missed on the first pitch to the 9-hole hitter Drew Culbertson.
I think we need to slip a bug into the mound so we can tune into some of these coaching visits to the mound. Huh? Be risky, wouldn't it?
Well, and now they've got the cameras on the referees in basketball. Have you seen that?
Yeah. What are they trying to do?
Oh, just a different look, I guess.
I hope they don't catch anybody mad on an exchange.
Well, I don't know if it has audio. It's 2-0 to Culbertson.
I mean, mechanically, this guy's like, as soon as he pulls the ball out of his glove, his left shoulder is just flying wide open.
3-0.
He's literally just throwing it. He has like no idea where he's throwing it.
That's in there. It's 3-1. Calhoun in danger of walking in 2 runs. He walked Thompson with the bases loaded to bring a run in. Now it's 3-1 to Culbertson, the 9-hole hitter. That's fouled away, and the count's full. The runners will be off with a pitch.
Now throw a strike here. Make the hitter do something. That's a pretty good slider he just showed him. I bet we're going to get a fastball. I don't think you want to throw a slider and walk him.
Runners go, and the pitch misses. It's an RBI walk for Culbertson. Viola scores, and it's 7-3 Oklahoma State. Bases still loaded with 2 out. A 3-run bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, that's not good. You feel for him, but at the same time, if you don't throw the ball over the plate, the game really comes to a halt. And sometimes it's the end of your career as a pitcher. You don't throw strikes, you don't pitch.
That misses to Braden Smith. Back to the top of the Cowboy order. Or if you're lucky, like Rick Ankiel, you move to the outfield and become one of the best throwing right fielders maybe the game has seen in the last 30 years, and a pretty good hitter as well.
Yeah, I saw him in high school.
I know you did.
He was a freak. He was a big leaguer both ways.
2-0 to Smith. It's 3-0.
Pretty nice when you say that, and then they go ahead and prove you right later. You feel like you're a genius.
And there is activity in the UT Arlington bullpen. It's been a
I still think, David, that baseball shouldn't start counting until basketball's over.
Yeah, you have said that many times. There's a lot of truth to what you're saying. Garrett Scholl's in now. 2 singles on the day. Bases loaded, 2 out, 4 runs in. It's 0-1.
Started him out with a changeup. This is when you put your defense to sleep, and then somebody makes a big error after all this pitching changes and all these balls. Tough for defenders to stay on their toes. Heater, 92, 93.
That ends the fifth. Oklahoma State scores 4 through 5. It's 8-3 Cowboys on ESPN+.
You know, one of the freshmen that you really got to be excited about. And Noah Weck, he's this is your bulldog. This is your guy that comes out there and says, you know, you want to hook it up, let's go. And he's been in 2 ball games already. Both of them were ball games that had something riding on it. They were tight situations, and he had a defensive play that didn't go his way and a bloop single the other way. So his numbers right now, you look at it, there's not a whole lot of number there. The numbers are like not as good as what he is.
You can already see he has a presence, doesn't he?
Oh, he does. That's a big part of it, Dave. I mean, he wants to be out there, and you got to show the coach that. You got to prove that. Well, he did it in the fall.
Fouled away by Tice Armstrong.
It says he's 6'1", and I think there's a little fudging going on. Maybe, yeah, maybe he is. But his first 2 fastballs are both 93. He got a good breaking ball too.
2-1 to Armstrong, leading off here in the UT Arlington 6th. Two and 2.
It'd be nice to see this guy leave the mound today on a positive note. First 2 times out, both been you start worrying about losing him, and then you bring him today and give him an inning or 2, and I think his role is going to be a 7th or 8th inning guy. That I wouldn't be afraid to start him. There's the good breaking ball.
Count full to Armstrong, leading off in the top of the 6th. Stays alive.
You're pitching with 5 on the board. You got a 5 errors. No 5-run homer. Do not walk this guy. Come on. This is relax it. Hit that catcher's mitt. Let your defense play. Pretty good running fastball at 91.
Chopping ground ball up the middle. Nice play by Culbertson. Throw to first. Not in time. And it gets away from Brigham and goes into the dugout. And Armstrong will head down to second. So that'll be the first error of the series by either team.
And again, he takes a single up the middle away. Gets back on his feet and makes an effort. And if Brugge pulls it, maybe it's bang bang. If not, you're going to have a bounce over his head. And, okay, that second guessing guy that's sitting out there watching says, well, why didn't he just block it instead of letting him go to second? Well, if he scoops it, it's a great play. So why not? I'd go for the great play.
So it's scored a single, but there should be an error on the play because that's how the runner advanced to second. That's not popped up on our stat monitor, but I'm sure it will. So there has to be some sort of scoring made to allow that runner to go to second. Tate Bethel had a 2-run single in the first, part of the 3-run UT Arlington first inning. They jumped out to a 3-0 lead, but Oklahoma State has scored 8 unanswered since. 1 in the second, 3 in the third, and 4 in the last inning.
He's just about getting that fastball through their loops.
Right back to the pitcher. And Weck has Armstrong in a rundown.
Interference. This is like a deja vu. I mean, When he got rid of the ball, he ran into the runner. And that's interference. So
the 1st and 3rd with nobody out.
See that it's an accidental contact, but it is what it is. It's a rule book.
So sort of a strange way, not sort of. It is a very strange way for UT Arlington to have runners at 1st and 3rd with nobody out. And Phillips, who had a 4 RBI day yesterday, will be the hitter.
Now what you got to do now, you got to get your strikeout, and get your double play ball, and get that thought out of your mind. Why does this always happen to me? Well, you're just pitching with some tough luck right now. Don't think they'd be running right here. I can't afford to give out an out. I can't give up an out when you're down by 5 in the 6th.
One 1-0 to Phillips. 1st and 3rd, nobody out. Sacrifice fly for Phillips gives him his 5th.